What's going on, y'all? It is me, your boy Soge Kami, and I'm here talking about One Piece chapter 1103. This chapter is called I'm So Sorry, Daddy. It's about, taking up from where we left off. The flashback had ended with Bonnie crying in the room, returning from the memories. The memory bubble is gone. So now this chapter starts. Bonnie leaves the room. She sees Vegapunk. Vegapunk mentions that, he was just saved by the Straw Hats, so we can kind of assume now that this is right after he walks out of that cell, but it doesn't exactly tell you how the Straw Hats saved him. So I'm very curious if we're ever going to go back to get that in-between moment where Vegapunk was locked up and the Straw Hats came and saved him, and we're going to get to actually see that, hopefully in this arc and not somewhere else. And maybe we could see something like, Vegapunk giving out some weapons, power-ups, Usopp power-ups, Frankie idea power-ups, Sanji idea power-ups, whatever, Ray-Tay-Tay. I want to see that kind of thing happen in this arc. One thing I really liked is this sapphire-shaped medallion that was given to Bonnie from Vegapunk. It says like a heirloom from Kuma, and a lot of people are under the impression that this is like that trigger that they're talking about in the last chapter that will give Kuma back like his instincts. So I'm hoping that could be something like that. I was under the impression that it could have been the big metal robot that gave Kuma that his instincts back, or it could have been, maybe Gear 5, could have been a bunch of things. So maybe this is all connected. It could have been S-Bear and S-Bear seeing Bonnie. I love the idea of like S-Bear taking on Kuma's like innocence, and I think I heard this in the video, but like having Bonnie and S-Bear like being raised together, or Bonnie raising S-Bear, something like that, like just to give them a chance at living a life together would be so sweet. I'm under the impression that like, yeah, Kuma might not make it, but I feel like Kuma and Bonnie deserve to travel the world together. Bonnie deserves to travel the world with her family, and as much as I'd love for that to be the Straw Hats, I would love for that to be the Straw Hats. I just don't believe. After Yamato, I refuse to believe that we're getting any more Straw Hats. That is until Yamato joins the ship and we see Yamato in an opening that's not in Wano. We see Yamato get one of those like little, face cards, from the middle of the show, the eye catchers. If we don't see a Yamato eye catcher, she's not a Straw Hat. If they don't have an eye catcher, they ain't Straw Hats, Jinbei might be the only exception because I'm not sure if he has one. But other than Jinbei, they ain't Straw Hats. That's just the way I see it. I'm sorry. So we get a lot of like shit talking from my boy, not my boy, my most hated, Jay Garcia Saturday. Jay Garcia, he talks about like, oh, your father was nothing. I gave you your powers. I think that was a big revelation, because I think a lot of people were wondering like, oh, how did she even get powers? We never even saw her eat a devil fruit, but it was like injected into her. So just kind of like similar to how Vegapunk has created a way to like manufacture zone devil fruits and then give not Pacifista, but to give the Seraphim like the Paramecia, that's the word I'm looking for, to give Seraphim Paramecia devil fruit powers, like with the green blood. I guess he kind of like inserted that into a person and was able to give Bonnie devil fruit powers. And I guess we can assume, I don't know if she was sinking in the warm eddy, or if she's like, now that her powers are given that way, if she was able to bypass that. But now I think we're getting closer and closer to this idea I talked about before with Frankie, with the green cola, where Frankie was able to give himself devil fruit powers with green cola instead of green blood. And so like we're now just talking about it a little more. This idea is kind of like being surfaced a little more, and I want to see that, the gears turn. I think it's important that Frankie is watching this happen too. Frankie is here watching this thing. So the idea of injecting devil fruit powers into somebody still around. We see in this chapter Luffy, he's still down for the count. Luffy's asking for meat. No one knows where he can get this meat from. There are a lot of ideas as to who would have been giving this meat to Luffy. Kizaru is looking like somebody who a lot of people are thinking, but I feel like it's probably not Kizaru. I just don't think that. I don't think that would add up to what his character has done. Like, I feel like Nah, I feel like he wouldn't do. If he was gonna do it, he would stand on his 2 feet, and I just don't see him backing away from admiral position like that. It would be more like, nah, you've gone too far. He's gonna stand up and be about it, not do it in secret. I feel like this is more of a caribou type situation, and just made to be like a red herring for Kizaru's more prideful standing up and denial of whatever is going on. We get to see a little bit of Dragon on the move. I think that was a little interesting. I don't know exactly where Dragon will go next and if he will come to Egghead. I think that would be sick if we get like a Devil Fruit reveal and kind of see what Dragon can do. Other than that, I'm actually a little scared because if we get Dragon like at Devil Fruit reveal and he could do a lot of stuff and he just hasn't been doing that, the Dragon slander will go crazy. I think it'll just, no matter what, Dragon let his boy hang, and that's just the way it is. Dragon failed Kuma. Let's just keep it a buck. Dragon did not do the right thing by Kuma. He was doing the right thing by his goals and his mission, and his goals and his mission didn't involve his homie, and his homie's girl. So that's just the way it is. We get a little insight into how Bonnie's powers work. So basically, Bonnie's powers are belief based. So I think the idea is, as a kid, you can believe more things, but as she gets older and her world view changes, she will not be able to transform into things she can no longer believe in. So she can do things like, I'm getting old, I'm getting young, but like, I guess mythical stuff, things that like are hard to imagine, she wouldn't be able to change into. But I think in a world as crazy as One Piece, like there would be tons of things that she could change into. Winged people race, Lunarian race. If she could find all that stuff, then why not, And I guess her traveling the world, doing all that kind of thing at such a young age, really would enhance and like expand her worldview. So she should be able to do basically everything and anything that she puts her mind to, and that's what makes Bonnie really powerful. At the end of this chapter, it's revealed that the scales that Bonnie received were from St. J. Garcia. St. J. Garcia was the person who experimented on her mom and then thus experimented on Bonnie. And so Bonnie's been experimented a lot in all of her life as a baby, and then as she grew up as an adolescent. And at that moment, we see that Kuma arrives on Egghead. He makes like a mad dash for the middle. Kuma blocks one of like the last kind of attacks from Garcia, and it ends with Kuma doing like a Haki infused punch, which we know Haki is willpower. Kuma should have no willpower as a robot, so Kuma at least has something. And just to be clear, it seems that Kuma has like some type of, like, his body is still in shape. Like, we know that during his fight with Akainu, he got his leg burned and his face like torn in half. So I feel like Kuma should be more damaged. I don't know if this is just like Oda forgetting. I feel like by the time Oda like might go back and fix it, and then we'll have to like get in the SBS that Oda says, oh, I messed up here, I'll fix it in the future, and then we'll get the fixed version in the like actual release. So that is that for One Piece. This chapter, we definitely am waiting on in the next chapter something, just something about Kuma. We know that Kuma has more in this tank. I do want to get back to this Zoro fight. I've been waiting for it for a while. I want to see how it ends. I want to see how far Zoro has to go. And I want to see if there's anything else that this arc has in store for any of our other characters. I feel like for, the Brooks, Robins, Usopp's, Nami's, and Frankie's, it's been kind of lackluster in like the character development kind of power-up sense for them. We're getting a lot from Sanji, a lot from Zoro. Even Jinbei, I feel like Jinbei needs like a moment, and I'm curious as to how he's going to get that moment in the future. So I am waiting on that. I don't know if this will be the arc, and we do have a lot of extra side characters that we have been focusing on more and more and more. So I just hoping that Oda doesn't forget anybody. And yeah, looking forward to 1104. It's probably going to be a while. I know next week we're going to get the official version of 1103, and then might be 2 weeks after that until we get the next version, which would be 1104. So a waiting game is what it is, and that's just One Piece right now, and I accept it and appreciate it, and Oda's the GOAT. So let's just wait for One Piece and enjoy yourself. Thank you. Let me know what you guys thought about this chapter 1103. I thought it was pretty good. Take care and see you in the next one.